I think the inclusion part is the hard part. And I think many companies, organizations think, getting women a seat at the table is job done. But actually, it's making sure then the voices are heard, that they're, considered. And I think that's the hardest part.
What do you think that we can do to get that message out? Like you said before, engineering is not boring. It's not roads and bridges. There's so many things that you can do in engineering. What can we do to influence more and more women to take up engineering as a career?
So one of my passions has obviously been STEM and encouraging more girls and women to go into and follow this career path. And I don't want to broad brush the complexity of it. The thing I have found that works the most is humanizing the profession. That for whatever reasons, I have found, many girls, they see the hard hats, they see the engines, they see the thing, and they think it is not for them or not for women. For whatever reasons, they often say the psychology of, women generally, care a lot about having, jobs that are caring or matter. And I found the more I advocated for and explained, not necessarily what engineers do, but the impact of what they do completely changed the view people have. It's one thing to say you're building a bridge. It's another thing to say you're connecting two communities that have been isolated for years across a river in Central Africa. And I think that narrative flipped. And it was the same thing when, I can even explain now to young people, sure, do I just work in data? Yeah, I work with data, but I'm working with data that, if those solutions work, will fundamentally, whether it's the UN, where we're helping, countries and missions in conflict. I think the inclusion part is the hard part. And I think many companies, organizations think, getting women a seat at the table is job done. But actually, it's making sure then the voices are heard, that they're, considered. And I think that's the hardest part. There's a lot of good work to make sure, leadership programs are equally diverse. But I've often found, though, that alone, it kind of didn't matter. The greatest thing I've had, and this is actually probably a call out to already leaders or future leaders listening, is the greatest thing for me that helped solve that was people who were already leaders or senior in the room creating the space for you to. So I would definitely say the inclusion part, it's difficult. It still doesn't, it's definitely the part that still felt a lot. But I've seen that in others, and that in turn obviously makes me try and be very aware, particularly not just gender diversity, age diversity, obviously. We work with a lot of interns at the UN, and making sure that everyone's voice is kind of counted and heard. But it's only because I've personally had great support more often than not, of people around me that kind of taught me and, led in that sense for me to learn that too.
Yeah, certainly my recollection from back in the time that we were working together, I have to say to you that there are a number of us that saw something very special in you. People like Aggie Cost and Kathy Jenkins, Chris Jenkins, our CEO of Talis Australia at the time. We also saw something very special in you, and we were championing your cause. My call to action for all leaders out there is to do that for sure, but it shouldn't be just a special case. It should be giving a platform so that voices are heard, right? So Kim got that opportunity. I think it's wonderful, but it should be an opportunity that we give to all young people, to give them the opportunity to have their voice heard, to make them feel valued, to make them feel that they matter, and to ensure that they can voice their opinions, because they do have strong opinions and they're very values driven. And I think it's something for us all to take away on that.